All right, so I am Thomas Barth, and this is my video for Showcase 1, the engagement showcase for the educational technology. The lesson name is 37 Weeks Sherman on the March. The subject area is United States history, and the grade level is 9. Now, a little note about that. This is something that you could work into other grade levels, but it works best for middle school and lower high school, lower classmen like that, because it might be a little bit not difficult enough for upperclassmen, and for elementary school, you have to take into account some of the content might be a little bit deep for them. But in theory, it's something you could use for pretty much any grade. All right, a brief description of the lesson plan and the link to the original lesson plan. So the lesson plan follows a 37-part mini-series on General Sherman's campaign through Georgia. You can find it right here at the pbslearning.media.org collection. It is a great mini-series, and it is the piece of technology I chose as well, kind of goes into that, going into the next part here. So a brief description of technology, the technology tool for the engagement used, and the link to the tool. The technology tool used is the PBS website itself. Presenting the topic of Sherman's March to the Sea in video format allows the students to rewatch the videos and get a better grasp on difficult content. I love this over a traditional lecture because you only get that once. That happens in the classroom, and that can be great for some students, but a lot of the time, a student may need to go back and get a second, third, or even fourth look at the content. And the short form of this and the readily availableness of this makes it super easy to go back and check it out. And it's just something that's great for students who need that second shot at it. It also gives them audio and video, so it's a good break from that traditional textbook learning, because it's great for some students, again, to just read it in a textbook, but a lot of students need those multiple avenues of input to really pick up what's being laid down here. The links to the presentation, we'll have that once this video is actually filmed. All right, the ISTE student standards. So this is the kind of brief description. The first one, the technology fundamentals. That's 1.1.D. I like this a lot because navigating the PBS website, it's going to allow students to engage technology on a simple level. It's going to build their technology skills and confidence. A lot of students in any grade level are going to have a little bit of trouble. They're going to be lacking confidence, a little nervous working with technology. Getting them to work on a user-friendly site that's simple to navigate is a great way to boost their confidence with technology and really get them more into it and understanding it, and really going to help them down the road when it comes to using more complex tech tools. It's a great gateway. The next ISTE student standard I found was definitely 1.3.B, and that's evaluate information. Students can look at the credibility of PBS to determine whether or not the information it makes available online is accurate and reliable. Now, they're going to see that PBS is a great, reliable resource, and it's obviously they're going to say, okay, this is good information, we can work with this. But it kind of sets up that practice for saying, hey, is this website reliable or not? And if it's not, they can kind of say, okay, let's go somewhere else. But again, it's good information. PBS, a great source. All right, now for educator standards on ISTE, the biggest one I noticed was 2.3.C, and that's modeling safe, legal, and ethical practices. I said, by using an open source platform such as PBS, teachers model legal, ethical ways to obtain valuable content free of charge. Everybody knows it's easy enough to pirate content these days, but you're obviously not going to want to model an unethical, illegal behavior in front of your students. We want to give our students a shot at content that we have obtained in an ethical, legal manner, and the best part is it's free of charge, because a lot of the times paid content is not always in the budget. So we've got something here that's high quality, free of charge, and obtained in an ethical, legal way. Great stuff. UDL guidelines for engagement. So I went with 7.2 as the most important one here. Optimize relevance, value, and authenticity. So you're using a high quality website like PBS that ensures the information presented to the students is of the finest quality. So this is actually a collaboration between PBS and the Atlanta Public Broadcasting Network and the, Georgia Public Broadcasting Network and the Atlanta History Center. So you've got multiple high-end historical organizations and public public broadcasting companies working together to give you information that is going to be curated to be good, valuable, authentic, and something that you need for this specific lesson. So first question on how the tool improves engagement focusing. It's going to be, number one, does the technology allow students to focus on the assignment or activity with less distraction? I went with yes. The presentation of the information in a digital video format makes content more engaging and versatile. And to add to that, its short form is going to make it more engaging, because it is not out of the question to ask a student to focus for 1 minute and 45 seconds on a short form video. You get to 10, 15 minutes on a video, students are going to start to drift off, they're going to lose focus, but the short form of these videos makes them fantastic for that little bit of engagement that any student can really engage for at least that long to get the point across. And then, does the technology motivate students to start the learning process of knowledge gathering? Yes, the informational videos in their short form lends to them being a catalyst for student curiosity. So again, that's the short form coming into play. It's not going to go too in-depth, but it's going to give them the information they need, and then you can place this alongside a full-fledged, longer lesson, whether it be a textbook reading or a lecture, but this is going to kind of get their interest piqued in each individual piece of the march. And then finally, does the technology cause a shift in the behavior of students where they go from being passive to active social learners? Ideally, yes, but it's always important to consider you're going to have some students who learn better through those more traditional means. For some students, it is going to be better for them just to read it in the textbook. But that's why you're going to pair this alongside that. Most students are going to benefit very much from having the multiple streams incoming of audio, visual, and the text. Some students might just need the text, but it's not going to hurt to tack this onto it. But most students, again, are going to benefit from that. So let's go on over to the actual source itself here in Safari. So here's the source. It's 37 Weeks, Sherman on the March. This was initially put together for the 150th anniversary of Sherman's March to the Sea. So it's about, 2014. That's going to make it about 11 years old. But that's not going to make it outdated per se, because it's an 11-year-old video, but these are on events that happened 160 years ago. So in reality, not much has changed about it. We haven't discovered a whole lot more about it. This is the information we have, and it has really not changed for the past 100 years or so. So it's perfectly fine to be using a video source that's a little bit older on this, whereas you might need something a little bit more recent for a science or possibly a math lesson. But considering the content of this and the fact that it's not changed, these are perfectly fine. Now, you'll see each one of these videos is going to be from 1 minute and 44 seconds to 1 minute and 45 seconds. That comes back to that short form, which is going to be great for students. We see a lot of short form media being a big thing on the digital landscape today. We've got TikTok, YouTube Shorts, all kinds of stuff like that is what students are engaging with in their recreational use of the internet. So to kind of have that short form be made available in a more informative source is going to be easier to keep their focus, easier for them to engage with, and it's really just going to appeal more to what they like to work with now. And there's 37 videos, so you can split it up a number of ways. Personally, I would do one video a day or one a week, have them do the write-up with it, and be done with it. But if you wanted to condense this into a single or lesson or a couple lessons over the course of a day or 2 or 3, you could say have them do 10 videos at once and then do one larger, maybe page write-up in class, rather than doing these as beginning of class assignments or homework assignments. Personally, I would say use that short form and what it lends itself to, but you could always do it as a longer form assignment. All right, now let's hop over to this little tiny PowerPoint presentation I've got here. So again, Sherman on the March, a lesson on Sherman's March to the Sea and the burning of Atlanta. So the overview. The lesson is going to follow the 37-part PBS miniseries on Sherman's campaign through Georgia during the American Civil War. After watching each miniseries episode, students will be asked to write a couple of sentences summarizing what they learned. So I did a quick mock-up of what a student might write for episode 1. So I said, Sherman saw a need to attack Atlanta as it was the Confederacy's strongest source of war production. Everything from guns to wagons was produced in Atlanta, and being deep within Georgia made it mostly safe from Union attacks. Now, you can go more in depth with this if you want, but I went with the 1 or 2 sentences because you're going to pair this with something, or it's going to go as a simple homework assignment or a beginning of class, kind of get them in and get them started assignment. Yeah. I don't know how to turn it off. It stopped at 9:16. Oh, I pressed the wrong button.